Perfect. Well, it's 11:45. If you have not yet finished the intake questionnaire, feel free to continue to work on that. Again, this course is also self-paced, so you will be following along with us today, hopefully, so we can work through it together. But if you aren't able to finish before the course, again, just by 5 o'clock today, and we'll be good to go. So we'll go ahead and get started. GoDaddy has partnered with AEO for this program called Empower, and the goal of this program is to help folks improve their marketing strategies and basically get online. We wanted to amend this program to talk a little bit more about marketing during COVID-19 and what this could mean for your business. And so we'll go ahead and get started here. The format of today's workshop is going to be a series of videos and then conversations. So while you all are muted now, we're gonna go ahead and unmute you guys later. We're going to watch a video and then we're going to have a conversation. We'll ask questions. We'll kind of get down into the nitty gritty of some of these things together so that we can kind of workshop everyone's individual needs. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We'll go ahead and get started with e-commerce. So if you'll follow along and click on the e-commerce tab, we're actually going to start with the video here. I'll play the video on my screen. And you should be able to hear it that way. Okay.
Commerce and online solution. My name is Justin Neely, and I'll be doing this training with you all today. A little bit about me before we really jump right in is I've been at GoDaddy for over 7 years now. I'm a partner channel manager helping with our website designer and developer audience. I'm also a co-president of an employee resource group here at GoDaddy called GoDaddy Entrepreneurs, where we basically help our employees that have their own businesses, that have their own side hustles, really provide resources that empower them to grow their business in any way we can help out. When I'm not doing that, I'm a co-host for our YouTube show called The Journey, where we give just tips and tricks and just help to really grow your business online. And then when I'm not doing all of that, when I'm at home, I have my own side hustle, if you will, designing and developing WordPress sites and helping designers with their personal brand. But given everything going on right now, I am super excited to be doing this session with you because it now is more important than ever to really pivot what we've been doing. So without further ado, let's just jump right in. So before we really get started, I did want to talk through a couple of small business relief programs. Right now, I get it that capital and funding are a source of worry and anxiety right now. There are a couple of options that are out there to really help us through these tough times. So starting with federal, there are low interest loans up to $2 million through the Small Business Administration for states impacted by COVID-19. So that URL is there. But one of my favorites is Kiva. If you don't know about Kiva, it's an international microloan nonprofit that GoDaddy's actually partnered with for at least a few years now. If not more. And it's super cool that they give 0% interest loans. They have expanded the eligibility for who can be eligible for a loan, which is awesome. They've been doing some larger loans lately. And then they have a cool grace period. So if you have not checked them out, I highly recommend doing them first if you're looking for a source of funding to kind of get you through these tough times. And then Facebook. Lots of people don't realize that Facebook has a bunch of cash grants and ad credits available to really help you through these tough times and really just get your business out there to try to generate some more income during right now, or just really spread the word about what you're doing as a company and have a little bit of a helping hand there. So those are a couple of local options. As always, there's the bbb.org. They have some information there, and then Local First AZ. I know some of you may want. I know some of you that are looking at this may not be in Arizona, and that's fine, but I'm sure there are a couple other local resources out there to help you too. So let's talk about a couple of tips before we really jump into the meat of really turning your site into an e-commerce or online solution. And first and foremost, that is to be safe, right? You want to update your employees, your customers on just things going on as it relates to them and just different regulations that you have to abide to or they may have to abide to. And then you'll also want to be flexible, of course, with the social distancing. Lots of events are being postponed. Services and appointments are having to be adjusted quite a bit to make sure there's not an influx of people at one location at a time. So something to keep in mind of just being flexible and understanding during these tough times. And then with your refunds, possibly create a refund policy and move quickly with this too, right? People are going to be canceling their appointments, and some may have put a deposit down with your business. Definitely be understanding because just how you're impacted with COVID-19, they may be impacted even more so. So having something in place to really let your customers know that you care about them, you care about their well-being, goes a long way. And as always, continue communicating. Update your website. I think that's one of the things that is forgotten the most, right? Like especially in the day and age where we're pretty much social media first, is we forget to update our website with the latest and greatest of what's going on with our company, especially during these times, right? Like your website is the source of truth. If someone were to go and look and try to just figure out if you're open or if you're limiting hours or whatever it might be, they're going there to double check. But as always, update your social media pages, send out an email marketing campaign, and let your customers know what you're doing, how this is impacting you, and what's kind of the game plan going forward. Because we kind of get creative with a lot of the things that we're doing, which is why you're in this little webinar, little training here we're going about turning your site into an e-commerce or online solution, right? You're trying to get creative and find new ways of generating income during these tough times. And like most of you you're already online, but it's time to take that one step further and make your website make money for you. So a couple of different ideas of getting creative quickly we talked about earlier is to really just go virtual. So there's a couple of really cool personal trainers and just different fitness gyms and things like that are doing a lot of their courses and classes and stuff online through whether it's Facebook Live or like a membership type site or just even giving away for free just to keep their audience super engaged. And I know being at home for most of the day now, because when I'm not working at GoDaddy, I have my own side hustle where I develop and design WordPress sites. This is where I am. Just this is my space, right? So think about different ways that you can get virtual with your audience, whether it's an online consultation, now it turns into a Zoom conversation or a Facebook Messenger conversation, things like that. Google Hangout, Zoom, Skype, there's all free resources that you can use to really connect with your audience one-on-one, and it's not going to cost you anything extra. Another cool option is to offer gift cards. So maybe the people that really are your true fans, they can't use your services right now, but that doesn't mean they're not going to want to support you, right? So those are things that you can offer to just have your audience give you just a helping hand, saying, "Hey, we're offering gift cards to help support us through these tough times. Go ahead and check it out online," and even potentially provide some type of offer with it. If you buy a $30 gift card, it's actually worth $50 or something creative that way. And then lastly is to schedule some social distancing options, especially if you are a business that has to have that one-on-one interaction. Like there's just no way of getting around it, right? Like I'm waving my arms around, you might have seen it, but I have a tattoo. I couldn't go to my tattoo artist virtually and him kind of guide me through as I tattoo myself. It just wouldn't work. So you want to think of different ways of letting your audience know that you're still open and you're doing everything you can to ensure that they're safe, you're safe, your employees are safe. And whenever they come to your shop for that appointment, it's only them. And these are the precautions that you're taking to ensure that this virus does not spread beyond what it already has. And as most important, you're keeping your audience safe. So a couple cool little ways to really get creative super quick that doesn't require a lot of heavy lifting there. So when we talk about different e-commerce options, GoDaddy has, I would say, 3 major e-commerce options here. And it's going to kind of go along the lines of easiest to hardest. So let's talk about our online store being the easiest. So it's best for those that have little to no technical experience, but I'd also say that this online store is great if you just need a website up fast, right? There's not a lot that you have to learn or technical skills needed to do this, so you can get this website created super quickly there. And there's a lot of great benefits with it, but I think one of the coolest benefits with this platform is the ability to sell on marketplaces like Amazon, Etsy, and eBay, all from one central hub. So in the past, if you wanted to sell on these different sites, you had to create an account with Amazon, list your products there, manage your inventory, things like that. Go to Etsy, list your products, go to eBay, list your products, so on and so forth. We have a couple other providers in that realm too, but those are the major 3. But now you can go directly from your online store, upload your products, click a couple of buttons, and send it on out to where your audience is, right? Because it's, even though you may love Amazon and hate Etsy or eBay, your audience may love Etsy and eBay. You want to be where your audience is. And that's why this is so important, because not only does this save you time from not having to go and do it yourself, you're going to be put in front of as many eyes as possible, which is super important. As always, there's no cost SSL, so you're getting that security built right in. You can sell your products directly on your online store. And it also comes with a digital marketing suite. So things like social media integration and email marketing are baked right into the platform itself, which makes this the easiest way to build an online store. It's not going to be as flexible, so you can't do literally whatever you want with it, which is kind of a good thing, right? You want to make something that's easy and looks professional with some of the baked in templates that come with it. Then you adjust and add your own text and content and images to that and really make it your own. And then we go to the next step up is going to be our managed WordPress. So this is going to be for intermediate tech users, but you'll be able to really do almost whatever you want with WordPress. I myself am a huge WordPress nerd. I go to WordPress conferences. I live and breathe WordPress. WordPress is all I do all day, and I love it, but I do understand that it is a little bit more complicated. So the WordPress platform is what's called open source. So that means anyone and everyone can develop different plugins or themes or different additions to WordPress and really make it awesome. But what that means is whenever you add a new plugin or add a new theme or whatever that looks like, you have to learn how that person set it up. So not only you have to learn WordPress, but now you have to learn that plugin settings or that theme settings, which might be different across different providers. So there's constant learning there. So that's why this needs a little bit more technical nature or at least more patience to do it. But it's infinitely customizable. There's thousands of plugins and themes out there, and there's minimal maintenance. And just every now and then you have to go in and make a couple updates to plugins and themes. It's kind of the same way you make an update to your computer. Lets you know there's an update, you click a button, and it does all the stuff on the back end. And then on the higher scale, we have our cPanel hosting. So this is going to be best for tech-savvy users that really just want full control of everything. So you get a standard cPanel control panel to manage all the things, and then you can host almost any type of website that you want on that platform. Things like WordPress, like we talked about, but Joomla, Magento, you can go straight old school and upload your HTML site. You can install some of those applications pretty easily. There's upgrade options if you need more resources just because you're getting a ton of traffic, which is awesome. So that part is really if you're a web pro yourself or you're really needing just more customization or flexibility. But if you are working with a web designer building your site and helping you out here, cPanel is probably going to be the way that they're going to lean you to go just because it's what most designers are used to. So again, bottom the left to right here, online store being the easiest, cPanel hosting being the hardest there, and the managed WordPress being that middle spot. So the cool thing with the Empower program is you all get one of these products for free for 2 years. So we'll have some information on how you actually redeem that, but you can start using it now. And what I would say is that even if you may not be ready to make that switch now, get one of these products and have it and kind of play around with it and develop it from there. And then when you're ready to make that switch, you have it in the account and it's there for 2 years. So you might as well take it up on that offer because it's some pretty cool deals and it's a fantastic offer to help everyone out here during COVID-19. All right, so let's actually transition to e-commerce. Now, what does that look like? Now, obviously, it's going to be more than just these 3 steps, but these are the 3 high-level steps that you need to think about when you want to transition to e-commerce. So first and foremost, you have to create an online store. I think that goes without saying, right? But you also want to rethink your customer outreach strategy. Really, how are you going to communicate to new customers that you have an online store, and how are you going to get them to buy from your website? And then lastly, communicate to your existing customers, right? Let them know that you've made that shift because our existing customers are our most profitable customers. They've already opened their wallet. They've already trusted us to do business with them. So they're more likely to continue to do business with us. So those are the 3 steps. Before we start digging into creating that online store and some pro tips there, I want to kind of go over the definition of what e-commerce is. So e-commerce is a process of buying and selling products or services, making money transfers, and transferring data over an electronic medium. This network allows people to do business with no barrier of distance and time. And I think that last sentence is so impactful, right? This network allows people to do business with no barrier over distance and time. This means your website is making you money while you sleep, regardless of where people are in the world, they can do business with you. And I always love to say that your website is the hardest working employee that you have. I mean, if you think about it, right? It never takes a sick day, doesn't call out, it's never late, doesn't have to take vacation, doesn't complain. It just does the job. So you might as well make your business even that much better by having your best employee work even harder for you and really generate revenue for your business. So e-commerce, that's kind of the mind shift that I like to go is you add more and more features and make your website really just an investment for your business. So there are really 4 components of an online store when it comes down to it. We have your website. Yes, you still need a website. You can't just have your e-commerce shop because your website tells your story, right? Your online store, that's where it sells your products. But really what the differentiator between you and everyone else is you, right? Like you are why people buy from you. Your personality exudes into your website and your business, your morals, why you do what you do. So that's where that's going to live. So people really get to know what your business is all about. And then you're going to need your products. So what are you going to be fulfilling on your website? Whether it's actual physical products, whether it's digital goods, whether it's services, you can still sell that directly on your website. So super important there. And obviously, you're going to need a shopping cart, something to bundle that all in and manage, and then payment and fulfillment. So the payment options, things like PayPal and Stripe, basically being able to accept credit card payments. And I think the easier you make it so people can buy from you, the better, right? Like I know that I'm more inclined to buy from a website if they give me the option for, say, Apple Pay, where I don't have to enter in my information. I just click Apple Pay, do the double click, make a look at my face, and I've paid. The online store has that ability to do that, and WordPress has a couple plugins to enable that functionality. But something you want to think about is how can you start to reduce friction to make it easier for someone to do business with you? Because the easier it is, the less hurdles that they have to jump through just to work with you. And then fulfillment really is how are you going to ship and get the products to the person that bought from you? Because obviously that's super important. You want to deliver back what they paid for. So when we think about our products, though, there's something that gets missed a lot, and it's really taking photos that will sell the product for you. So quality photos are the key to your success online. They're basically what helps someone just visualize what it is that you're offering. So a couple of pro tips there is like you don't have to have a fancy camera. Like I have a nice little DSLR back there, but it's not needed to take really nice photos. Most of us have a camera on our phone that is good enough to take photos with. And I think one of the easiest ways to get a great photo is really to control the background and lighting of the photo. Dark photos are gross, right? They don't look nice at all. You want a nice bright photo. So things like using natural lighting, maybe go outside or take a photo next to a window of your product. You can buy a ring or LED light for pretty inexpensive on Amazon or other little local retail shops that sell different type of camera equipment. Like during this session here, I have a ring light in the background on me just so you can see me while I do the shot, which is why there's that weird little shadow back there. But things to really make your centerpiece pop. You can use a tripod if you're kind of having something move around a lot, like a shaky, blurry photo isn't going to look the best. So make sure you have that updated there. And then avoid too many products in a single shot, right? So this product is a great example. You know what the focal point is. If you have too much going on in your image, the eyes don't know what to really focus on. So they're kind of going all over the place. It's hard to resonate with it. And you can use things like Pixlr, PicMonkey, GIMP, Clipping Magic, or even Canva to adjust some of your images to make them really pop. And now I would say that you don't always have to take the photos yourself. If you're in an industry where it just doesn't make sense to have a photo of a consultation or something like that, there are great websites like Pexels, that's PEXELS.com or unsplash.com. They're amazing stock photo repository websites that's absolutely free to use. And these aren't stock photos like those corny ones you saw back in like the early 2000s. Like these are legitimate photographers just showing off some of their best work. And if you really like what that photographer is doing, you can donate to them if you want, but they ask for nothing in return. So it's super cool, and it's a good way to really get some awesome imagery onto your website, onto your products. So when we think about shipping options, you really want to decide on your shipping strategy. I mean, you want to take your local situation into consideration too, because some local options may be shut down or may be harder to work with. So you also want to consider some free options, especially right now. Give people more of an incentive to buy, right? Like if I saw a product that was $14.99 on a website, but then charged $5 for shipping, I may not want to buy with that extra cost in my mind, right? But if that same product is $19.99 with free shipping, it changes the perception of my mind of, cool, there's no extra cost. I was already okay with the $19.99. Let's do it. So if that makes sense for you, then absolutely do it. And you can do it to where you can charge by shipping zones. So if people in your state you want to charge absolutely nothing to or adjust that for, do that. And then people outside your state or outside the country, it's a little bit more because obviously shipping is going to cost more. You can absolutely adjust that with things like online store or WordPress or most other shopping cart sites that you may use. A flat rate might be a good option too, just so there's no weird cost at the end of the day, to where your audience knows that, cool, you charge $5 for shipping, or you charge $10 for shipping, or whatever it might be. They know that it's going to be consistent all the way forward. But at the end of the day, research your options. There are, of course, the big dogs like FedEx and UPS, USPS, but there's also some local options too that you might be able to utilize and capitalize on. So if we look at just a couple of other tips when it comes to having your online store, is to have a secure website. So this goes to a couple of different things. So the easiest way to secure your website is to add that SSL. So that SSL makes that little lock symbol at the top of the address bar. If you don't have it, your website will say not secure. But this basically encrypts text, credit card, contact information, any sensitive information sent from your computer to the server and then back, so that if anyone were to capture it in the middle, it's just encrypted. It looks like gobbledygook. It just does not make sense. Without that, if someone grabs it in the middle, they have all that information wide open. And then there are things like a website firewall. So with website builders like our online store, it's not something you have to worry about since we handle it ourselves. But if you use something like WordPress or Magento or just standard shared hosting, that firewall is not there outside of your website itself. So the website firewall that we have, it basically acts like a moat around your house. So we dug that moat, put a bunch of waters and alligators and everything else in it, and it keeps out all the riffraffs, the malicious users, maybe the in-laws, whoever you don't want in your house, it keeps them out. So that's what that firewall is going to do. And if you're having a website that you're selling information on, I'd highly recommend having that if you go more of the traditional WordPress or shared hosting route. And now I would want to say another thing with pricing. We talked about shipping and kind of changing that, but you really want to price your products right. Most of you are in business probably for quite some time, which is awesome. You know that you can never be the cheapest option because there's always going to be someone else that's going to undercut you, right? And you really want to focus on building your brand to make it justify the cost that you're providing to your audience, right? Because Apple iPhones are probably not worth $1,200, but that's what their brand's worth. And that's what justifies that increase in cost. And that's why people wait in line to spend $1,200 on a phone. So start working on your brand and justifying your price that way of this is what I'm about, this is why I do it, this is my purpose, and then go from there. Because you don't want to be the absolute cheapest because you'll never win that way and you'll just go out of business. And then choose your payment methods. Make it as easy as possible for someone to pay with you. So even though you may not like PayPal, you'll still want to have that option on there because some of your audience may only trust PayPal online or may only use their credit card or like the idea of having Apple or Google Pay right from their phone to pay for their services or your products. The less things that they have to do, the less friction you create, the better. Then looking at online seller's tax, sales tax can be complicated. So learn about different tax laws and leverage other resources to really help with just making sure you're protected at the end of the day and you're not stuck paying a bunch of sales tax that you should have put off to your customers. And then lastly here, focus on the benefits, not just the features. It's really easy just to list off what something does and then call it a day, but it's hard for a person staring at your website to really resonate with what that means to them, right? So I design websites and I do offer maintenance too. When I sell my maintenance services, I don't just say, yep, I back up your website, I update your plugins, I do this, I do that. And then just call it a day. I probably wouldn't get a lot of sales. But what I do with that is I position it of, cool, I take care of all the heavy lifting for your website to ensure that your hardest working employee stays online, looks great, and your brand is credible. So you can continue growing your business and not having to have another hat you have to wear, right? And when I position my products, I go with how it benefits whoever's going to basically buy from me. And the same thing goes with your products, right? Whatever you're selling, there's always a benefit of why it really matters to that person. Make sure you describe it that way. You can still have your features out there on your website and on your product page, but just have a sentence or two of what it really means for them. And now it's time to really rethink your customer strategy and starting with be sensitive. So everyone is under just a lot of stress and they're worried about their well-being. So it's really important to be sensitive in your communication to your customers and your employees, right? Like you can't just go full sales heavy because I know we might be struggling for business right now, but people are getting laid off, may not have the funds or the income to help out and support you. So to really be sensitive the way that we're communicating with them. And then you're changing the way that you do business. So remember that what you're doing now may not be what you've been doing for the past few years or however long you've been in business. It's just brand new. And I think this is a great opportunity to try new things that you may have been hesitant about trying in the past and going for it, right? Because at the end of the day, like if you don't try those new things, you may not be doing business at all right now. So and one of those things might stick and it might be your next way to really get to that next level with your business. So it's important to really just remember that you're changing the way you do business, test out new things, and then you really want to make sure you're still blending the physical part of your business and digital. So what this means is, hey, do you offer in-person consultations for jobs, or do you train people at a gym? How can you move those things virtually and have in-person services when it's safe or with social distancing efforts? So you want to make sure you're doing a little bit of both there, where it makes sense. And of course, I hope we're all using social media. Social media is the way to really connect with our audience on an entirely different level, and it makes us seem like real people, not just a faceless company. So if you haven't been, make sure you're on social media and really connecting with your audience, and just even going on like Instagram stories and just updating people of what your business is going through right now, what you're doing to kind of prepare and hunker down, how you're helping out the community if you are, and then really connect with your audience that way. Because that goes a long way at the end of the day with your audience, to have them show that, hey, they're in it with me, and I want to help and support them in any way I can, even if it might just be a share or an extra like or a comment, anything that they can do to help you. And then connect where your customers are. Your customers are everywhere right now. Most of them are inside, right? Like I am, and I hope that you all are too. But connect with where they are. Are they spending a lot of their time on Pinterest now these days, looking at different DIY crafts to do at home? How can you really show up on that presence? Are they making a bunch of just random TikTok videos with their kids like I have been lately, right? Just trying to keep sane. Like, think of different things that they might be shifting their attention to preoccupy their time, and how you can really show up in a positive and genuine way, and just help out and show off your business there. And I think it's really cool that you have the ability to communicate. There are so many different ways for us to talk to our audience these days. It's insane. Anywhere from social media to email to in person to on the phone to all these different apps and resources. And you have the ability to keep customers and employees up to date with all the latest information. So if you haven't already, you want to launch an email campaign, just spreading the awareness of what's going on with your business. The more that they know, the better. And then create consistent communication across channels. So we have our Open We Stand movement, where we're trying to basically just help small businesses stay open during these tough times. And like this poster says, like, it may not be business as usual right now, but we're still open for business. And you want to let your customers know how you're still open for business, because many of them may not know. So it's important to have something out there that lets them know how they can still do business with you. And I hope your phone's still ringing, right? But this is a little care package thing that's directly on our Open We Stand microsite that you'll get information for. And you can print this off, put it on your door if you have a brick and mortar, or there's things for your website that you can add as well. And really join the movement, especially with the hashtag that starts to trend. The earlier you're on, the better your exposure ends up being. So if you're not using this hashtag, start using it and really spread the awareness of just staying with the Open We Stand movement. So a couple of other resources here for you at the end. Here's that GoDaddy.com/OpenWeStand. That has a ton of information and resources to really help you during these tough times. There's an awesome community out there inside of our forum, just going through just different topics and ideas, different ways to really connect with our visitors and our audiences. There's GoDaddy.com/how-to, just a bunch of videos on how to use our products. So if you go ahead and use like our online store, for example, or WordPress, we have a bunch of how-to videos to help you really just get kickstarted there and kind of speed up the learning curve. And then localfirstaz.com/COVID resources has a bunch of resources available for you. And I'm sure your Empower, your local cohort rather, will have other resources for you as well during these tough times. And I want to leave you on one last note, and it's really to make sure that you are connecting with your audience on a personal level and putting yourself out there for your business, right? Don't hide behind the company itself, because people want someone that they can relate with. And you, again, I'll say it again, you are the reason why people do business with you. So the more you're able to really show people who you are, the better, and really show that you're here for them and you've created a community around your brand, your service, your business that they can be a part of. And hey, join the Open We Stand movement, but maybe create a movement of your own and show your audience that you're here to give back and help in any way you can. Thank you all again. My name is Justin Neely. I'd be happy to connect with any of you all on LinkedIn. It's just /Neely, Nealey, to talk further. But best of luck with your endeavors, and I look forward to seeing your online stores.
Perfect. All right, so now we are going to just kind of discuss what we saw in that video. If anyone has any questions, again, feel free to post them in the chat or raise your hand, and then we will open you up. I think we're the only ones that are able to unmute you. So if you'd like to chat with us, we'll kind of start the discussion here. I'd love to know what kind of businesses that we have that have joined us today. So in the chat, if you'll kind of post what industry you're in or what kind of business you're running, that may help spark some questions. But before we get into our social media conversation, I wanted to chat with Holly and Amanda and just kind of have an open discussion about some of the questions that we may have seen arise during that video, some common questions when it comes to e-commerce. And the first one is, what are some of the advantages of being online nowadays? And Holly, Amanda, either one.
So one of the easiest ways to get in front of people that you might not be able to get in front of physically is by being an online. And I've had a lot of conversations recently with businesses that are in startup mode that is their main concern right now, is how do they effectively do this and still maintain a financial boundary that makes it work as a startup.
Amanda, anything to add?
I think Holly really hit the nail on the head. I think the reality is that online is where it's at right now. So as social distancing increases and takes measures, as we all know, being online and making sure all of your information is up to date and having people be able to interact with you online is really how the world is going to turn.
Erica, who's joining us today. Oh,
we have someone that runs a yoga studio and a juice bar, and I'm really curious if they're engaging with their audience by teaching instead of just offering a service.
Erica, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you so you can talk with us.
Hello.
Hey, Erica.
Hey, guys. So what was the question again? If I'm engaging, like teaching?
If you're engaging through teaching.
You know, actually, I'm doing this workshop because I'm trying to revive my businesses, because I had kind of like paused. I haven't done a lot of social media. Before all of this, I would do that, like teaching people. And like when this first started, I tried to stay engaged, but I stopped. I kind of like, you know, got a little too worried, and I thought like, you know, this is it. This is the end of my business. But I've been trying to do more online presence. So my short answer is no, I haven't. I've done it before, but I'm not doing it.
Okay, because I've seen some really, really interesting things posted recently from people that are transitioning to being able to access their audience through teaching. So maybe that's something you want to work towards as a social media goal currently in this very strange scenario we're in, where no one can be in person as much as they'd like.
Yes, definitely. Because I actually had just like reopened my group yoga classes at the studio, taught a couple of classes with 3 students only, and then numbers started climbing again, like the cases. So I was like, no, I can't do this. So I need to really focus on online presence, which I haven't been like giving the attention that I know it has to, you know, have right now. But yes, thank you. I definitely need to work on that.
Thank you, Erica.
Thanks.
All right. It looks like Araceli owns IT Solutions Company. Araceli, I'm going to unmute you so you can talk with us. Oh, it's not allowing me to unmute. Let's see.
There, I think it was my end. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, how's everybody doing?
We're doing great.
Awesome.
What are you doing to help get your business online or help others get online if you're IT Solutions?
Well, nothing too much yet. I'm barely starting looking into it. I know, with the businesses, we have the businesses, my husband and I. He does the labor and I'm doing the office work. We just started a couple years ago. So I'm trying to get into it a little bit more, update the website. I know he has created one, but I'm like completely lost on everything. So it's just a start for now. I'm barely starting.
Okay. What are you looking to kind of learn from the workshop today?
Make changes, maybe format the website, give it a little bit of more personality, because it's a very simple website. It's good and it guides you straight to what you want to know. But I believe we can put more information on there, a little bit more pictures, make it more attractive to new clients.
For sure. Well, thanks for joining us today. We've got Caroline Alexander on the line, and Caroline has a few different businesses. Caroline, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you if you're able to kind of join in on the conversation, or if you'd like to join in with us and kind of talk about what businesses you've got. I've clicked unmute. Caroline, you might have to unmute it on your end now. Okay, not seeing where we can unmute you. If you'd like to join in, just feel free to add to your comments in the chat, and we'll kind of go from there. So the next question I have for you guys is, we work with a lot of service-based businesses here at People Fund versus product-based businesses, and a lot of what I saw in the presentation today when they're talking about shipping strategy had to do with products. Do you think that service-based businesses should be online also, Holly and Amanda?
I absolutely do, because you need to get your service in front of people that might not be able to see it walking past, driving past, or going out and getting word of mouth in public spaces.
Gotcha. And so maybe they don't need a shipping strategy. Maybe they just need a customer engagement strategy to drive people to their site. Are you thinking more of a website, more of social media presence, or both?
I would think both, because right now when people can't go out and touch things in the same readily available way, they need a way to engage and see what's around them that they might be able to utilize in their daily life, but they're not going to have access to and know that it's there unless you put it in front of them.
Amanda, anything to add?
I guess something else to consider is that one of the first things that you probably do as a consumer is Google something, like Google restaurants in my area, Google a specific restaurant name, and if that restaurant comes up or that service comes up or what have you, and it has an actual website and it has more information, you're more likely going to be able to pursue that versus if it doesn't have information available. So just something else to kind of think about.
Gotcha. And during COVID, we've seen a lot of businesses have to pivot to transition to having some aspect of their business be online, whether that be an online ordering system for a restaurant, or like Erica, possibly your juice bar, or that be teaching online versus teaching classes in person. We've seen a lot of pivots happen to where people have to be online now. And so if you haven't thought about going online before, The point of this e-commerce section was that we do need to start working on getting you online now so that you can start engaging with customers, with customers in real time, even though you're not able to engage with them in person. I really liked that graphic that our presenter had at the end there that allowed you to show your customers, if they were to show up at your building, how to engage with you. So if it was a restaurant, they could see that you were on Grubhub and on some of these online ordering apps, and they could see, you know, where to engage with you online. So it's not just about having the website or being online, but being able to communicate with your customers that you're online now, to show them how to engage with you. So if we have, I'm going to open it up for any more questions. Does anyone have any more questions? Feel free to raise your hand or post it in the chat. I'll just give you about 30 seconds and then we'll go ahead and move on. Okay, well, I'm not seeing anything else in the chat as of now. We're going to move on to talking more so about social media now. While e-commerce is now available to all of you, as long as you've taken the pre-survey and the post-survey through the course, you will actually be able to get a code that allows you to have an e-commerce site or to have yourself a website in general. I think they talked about 3 different types of sites you could have with one of these codes. So now that you're able to get online, let's kind of transition and talk about social media, which I actually think is a more accessible and user-friendly way to get online as well. And I can just imagine, Erica, with your juice bar showing some of these juices on social media, or the yoga studio being able to teach some of these classes on social media. So we're going to go ahead and start there. Again, it'll be the same kind of format. We're going to watch a video this time, but then we're going to do a quick little assignment or a quick little exercise in between, so you guys can kind of get your feet wet with building, starting to build what a social media strategy could be. So we'll start the video. As always, if you have questions, please feel free to post them in the chat. We'll start our discussion and our activity after the video, and we'll go from there.
Everybody, I'm Sean Funder from GoDaddy, and now, right now, we're going to talk about social media and what it can do or not do for your business. And that's a big sigh, of course, because like me, you probably have a love-hate relationship with social media. And why is that? Because we feel like we're being tricked. It's kind of reached a point where sometimes we feel like we're just being marketed to the entire time, and we don't like being marketed to the entire time. And that wasn't the promise of social media in the first place. The promise of social media was that it would be social. We'd be engaging with other human beings. And I don't want to suggest that there's no marketing and there's nothing you can do on social media that won't help your business. That's definitely not true at all. But there's something we kind of have to get over in order to get back into it, or even to start with it. Because I meet plenty of people that say, yes, I want to market my business. Yes, I want people to find me. Yes, I want people to read my blog, but do I really have to go back on Facebook? Do I really have to use Twitter? Do I really have to use Pinterest? And the truth is, no, you don't. There's other ways that you can do it, but it is one of the best ways to find an audience and find people that would be interested in your business or the things that you're doing. So in hopes of taking the edge off and making myself feel better about social media these days, we're going to go over some general outlines about what it is and what it can do for your business. To do that, I'm going to start with a story about my kids. I have 3 boys, and the 3 boys, when they were younger, I remember they came home from school one time and they were telling me about this really cool game. And the cool game was a game where they would run from skeletons and blow things up and ride pigs in the game. And everything looked like Lego bricks in the game. And you probably know what I'm talking about, and it's still really huge. And the game was Minecraft. Well, at that time, when they were first pulling it together and crafting arrows and boats and things out of minerals on the thing. Obviously, I know nothing about Minecraft other than the fact that my kids love it. There was no advertising. You didn't watch TV and then see Minecraft on TV. There wasn't a lot going on social media either. There wasn't an ad campaign for Minecraft. Basically, the way it worked was word of mouth. They would go to school, tell people about it. In order to play the game, they would need their friends to play, and then they'd come home and beg their parents for the $30 to spin up a Minecraft account and then find servers to play on. It was completely word of mouth. And if you think about it, that was the same for things before Minecraft. The music I listened to in high school, most of it was word of mouth because I wanted to be really cool and not listen to anything on the radio. So I'd have to find out from my friends who went to a concert in Boise. And then they would come back and tell everybody about this cool thing. And we would eat our potatoes and listen to strange Depeche Mode music. But the point is that we basically learned about these things from other people. That's what social media is. It's all about sharing, all of it. That's what it is. That's the root of it. That's the way that it works. That's what we feel good about when we're on social media, because we discover these things. It's just at a broader scale. Instead of knowing 50 people in my classroom that can tell me about this really cool music or writing pigs, now know hundreds of people, thousands of people that I can share with and then have a conversation with them. Now, where that goes south a lot of the time is you've got people kind of forcing the share. It would be as if my kids went to school and then stood up in front of the classroom on top of the table and told everybody why Minecraft is the most important thing in the world. And then you find out that my son is getting a cut from Minecraft to pitch Minecraft to everybody, and we don't like that. We want it to be genuine. We want to have a genuine conversation with people. So how do you do that? You know, how do you be like my Uncle Chad? My Uncle Chad was a guy I didn't even know. I had no idea he even existed. There was I would go to family reunions on my dad's side of the family, and I didn't know anybody there. And there's this one guy that introduced himself. He asked me questions about me. He wanted to understand what I was doing. Where was I going to school? Did I have a girlfriend? What type of music did I listen to? And I talked to him for a long time. He showed a genuine interest in me. I told him all these answers. He wasn't talking about himself. He wasn't trying to impress me with how hippie he was, living in Northern California, making his own cheese. He really was interested in who I was and what I was doing. The following year, when we go back to the family reunion, Chad asks me again. He remembers. He's interested in me. He wants to know what the updates are. Am I still dating the same person? Am I still listening to the same music? I want you to be like Chad. Like when you're putting on stuff on social media, when you're publishing, when you're coming up with different ways to talk about you or your business or what you're doing, you want to be like extremely human. That's the most important part about it. There was a study that was done 4 years ago now, in 2014, trying to find out whether or not people trusted brands, trusted businesses on social media. I think the number was between 12 and 14% of people trusted brands or businesses on social media. They trust people. They don't trust organizations. I'm the same way. Like maybe I'm excited when Patagonia or GoDaddy or somebody puts together an ad campaign that I think is clever, but I'm not really having a conversation with them, am I? Like I'm having a conversation with a brand. It's faceless. And so you don't trust it as much. So it's another consideration when working with social media. What about you is coming through when doing it? Because I know it's really tempting to just do it from your brand, to just publish from your brand, to just do social from an organization and not from you. But we want to have a conversation with you. All right, so some general tips, guidance. Maybe it takes the edge off of social media. Then we're going to go over 3 things to kind of lay the foundation of what you're going to be doing and hopefully get into the habit of doing social media, so it's not just a one and done type of thing, because that's something you definitely cannot do in order to be successful on social media. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to define your goals. So once you define your goals, then you're going to get organized. You come up with an editorial calendar, a way to keep going and keep publishing. It's kind of like setting up a workout routine that you know you can stick to. And then in the end, the final step, and this is interesting because it's the same as the final step for doing SEO, is you're going to make friends. You have to make connections. You have to build an audience. You get followers. You connect with other people. You join Facebook groups where you can have conversations. That's super important in social media. And I'm going to give you some ways to do that, ways to have different conversations in social media that will allow you to sort of spread your wings and connect with more people. All right, so defining your goals in social media. The reason this is important is because I don't want you to do something that's not going to do anything for you. You need to measure something to make sure that social media is getting your idea out there or making connections or building an audience or customer base. And so first and foremost, you have to figure out what it is that you're going to measure in social media. And there's lots of different things that you can look at. There are the immediate things of likes or reactions. When somebody double taps on that Instagram photo, that's a legit measurement. That's an easy way to start when you go to publish something. And then there are the more complex metrics. You can look at sentiment. You can look at followers. You can look and see how often people click on the links that you have in your account over to your website or over to something else. There's lots of different things that you can look at in social media. Now, the point is, you need to just come up with something very, very basic. Even before you decide where you're going to be on social media. Think about the number of platforms that are out there. If you count YouTube as social media, you've got that, you've got Pinterest, you've got Instagram. They continue to grow. People are now using WeChat. People are using Slack as a sort of social media. And if I'm tossing out different platforms you've never heard of, don't worry about it. That's the whole point. I'm trying to overwhelm you with ideas and different things. There's VK out of Russia, and it's huge. Don't think about all of them. Really, the only thing you're going to do in figuring out what you're going to measure and where you're going to publish is I want you to start small. Pick one. It could be Facebook. That's a very popular one that people go on in order to do this type of stuff. Or it could be Instagram. You can get a lot of reach and connect with a lot of people. I think even faster on Twitter or on LinkedIn. The point is, pick one. Get really good at that one. Or, you know what, just get really good in your own eyes. Like, oh, wow, I really understand that I'm actually getting people to my website, or I'm actually finding customers. And then move on to the next one. You don't want to do too much or grab too many things, because you actually won't know what's working. Maybe you pick 5 different social accounts and only one of them is doing anything for you. So start small. Pick one. Get good at that one. Start measuring maybe 2 things. Measuring likes, measuring followers. Or if you want to really make sure it's doing something for your business, measure the likes. That's your sentiment, whether or not people like what they're seeing, or the replies and stuff that come in. And then measure the clicks. Like, make sure you put your website link in profile or in your post, and then people actually get over to your website. You can see that information from a dashboard like Google Analytics. You can see how much of your traffic is coming from Twitter or from Instagram and these other places. Again, not hard to hook up. If you Google Analytics, they'll walk you through it. It's just some code you throw on your website, but it will tell you where people came from. That's important, because once you figure out what it is you're going to measure, then you can figure out what you're going to do. So instead of just hopping on Facebook or hopping on Twitter and taking pictures of your food and saying like, this is really great, I ate my breakfast today, you're going to do things that are more specific towards your goal. One of the best ways to do that is to actually set up a schedule. You set up like an editorial calendar of things that you're going to do each day. And as you do those things each day, maybe each week, you take a look at those goals or those numbers that you want to affect, the likes, the followers, the clicks over to your website. And then you change that editorial calendar bit by bit. Let's say on a Monday, I say I'm going to publish a blog post. And you think, wait a second, a blog post isn't social media. Well, most of social media is linking to other things, especially for your business. So you say, publish the blog post and write about the blog post. And then on a Tuesday, you're going to post twice to Twitter, or you're going to find people to follow. On a Wednesday, you're going to reply to a particular hashtag. You're going to find other people that like stuff that you like on Twitter and engage in a conversation. On Wednesday, you'll publish another post, or you'll do a short video that you can put on Snapchat or on Instagram. And then you do this week over week, day after day, and it's super simple. It took you 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but you kept up with it. You kept creating, you kept publishing. Now, there's one thing that you want to make sure that you always do, though, every single day. And this gets harder the longer you go. And the more successful you are, the harder it's going to get. But the more successful you are, hopefully you can hire your niece to help you with it, is that you need to respond. So as you get started doing these things, and this will happen as you start to engage, as you start to answer other people's questions, as you start to ask questions, as you start to publish consistently over the course of many days, they're going to reply. People are going to engage. That's what social media is. It's social. So instead of just constantly pushing people ads all the time, you are now opening up the door to conversation. And as they do that, make sure that you respond. Respond every time. Respond as soon as somebody says that they like something. Not just clicks like, that's different. But if they actually say, I like this, respond to them. If they say, I hate this, respond to them. If they ask you a question, answer the question. That's a primary thing. And maybe you even put that on your editorial calendar. Reply, 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 reply every single day of the week. And that's a super simple editorial calendar. And the reply, I promise, it takes you 5 to 10 minutes. It's not a lot of work. And remember, you're only on 2, maybe 3 social platforms. Maybe you're only on 1 social platform. So it makes that possible. Now, since we're talking about calendars, we're talking about time and dates and stuff like that, one of the most common questions that I get, a lot of people get, is when? Like, what time of day should I publish on social media? And I'm going to give you a horrible answer. It depends. It depends on the platform. It depends on what you do for your business, on when you're going to publish something to social media. I have somebody that works for me that figured out the best time in the world to publish something to Pinterest is on Sunday night. For some reason, after 5 o'clock. There's a lot of people on Pinterest. There's a lot of guys that are saving old movie posters and fancy socks, and a lot of women are doing the same. Like, that's what they're interested in for some reason on Sunday night. Now, I usually wouldn't tell somebody to publish something to Twitter or Instagram or other types of places for their business on Sunday night, but it works for Pinterest. Now, you can certainly Google and find more answers on this. There's social media platforms out there that help you keep track of stuff and time your posts and publish, and they've got a lot of good data on what's engaged with people. So depending on your business and depending on the platform you're on, you can figure out some times that might work better for you. What are the things I'm going to publish? What are the things I'm going to write? How can I get something out there that's super cool and people will respond to? Well, keep one thing in mind as you're coming up with this stuff, and this is it. This is important. This is important for what you do, and it's important for what you're going to be putting on social media. You got to go into it with a certain amount of confidence. So remember that you are an expert. That's the reason you're doing what you're doing. You might not be the expert, but that's what draws people to whatever it is you're trying to sell, or whatever it is you're trying to help people with, or whatever message you're putting out into the world. You're building yourself up as an expert. Look at it with that lens, with that eye, so that when you are going out and you're asking questions, or you're giving people advice, or you're providing links to cool things you found online that are related to your business or your idea, that you're the expert. That'll help as we go over some of these other ideas. All right, you got it? Like that's pretty simple to kind of get started and understand social media. We're going to go over 5 different ways to engage on social media. So remember, you're the expert. You're only on 1 or 2 platforms, and you're only looking for 1 or 2 things to measure out of the gate. Make sure that you respond to everything. All right, 5 ways to engage in social media. Now, the first one is something I've already talked about, and it will seem really obvious, but it's probably the most effective. And what you do is you ask questions. So on social media, even if you have an Instagram post, you ask a question for the title or for the description of the post. If you're on Twitter, you ask a question with the network or people that you're working with. And Facebook, the same type of thing. So if I have a business, or the one that we've talked about in other videos is Robot Coffee that I'm running with my buddy Isaac, with the droids and the coffee on their heads and all that fun stuff. If I have that business, I could hop online and have a small following of people and say, hey, listen, French press, worth the hype, ? And then as people answer the question, totally worth the hype, or no, it's a hipster fad, please stop, I can engage with them. This is a way to engage the customer base. And by the way, the question I asked wasn't, do you like the new Star Wars movie? It might be apropos if it's a Robot Coffee place, or what's your favorite flower? Might be a better idea of something that doesn't make any sense based off of what I am an expert of. So I ask questions about coffee. Super, super, super easy way to engage and get things started with that base. And again, make sure that you reply afterwards. The second way to engage in social media, this is going to be harder to do maybe if you're just getting started. And it's related to hashtags. And we'll talk about what that is and how you can engage with hashtags. But what you're going to do is join existing conversations. This is kind of like the reverse or the inverse of asking questions. It's now your opportunity to answer questions. Now, the way you find places where you can answer questions or to join conversations is by finding people that are having conversations that you care about. And that seems crazy because Twitter is huge, Facebook is huge, and Instagram's ginormous. So how are you going to find the people that care about the stuff that you care about? I one time had a conversation with a guy in Florida that was a watercolor painter in Vietnam, which is really strange to me because when I say Vietnam, I don't mean in the country, I mean during the war. And I think that's fascinating that they had watercolor painters in the military. But besides that, he got really good at it, and he then became a watercolor painter, and he lives in southern Florida. And he said to me, I don't think there are any watercolor painters in southern Florida, but we were able to find them. And the way we found them are with hashtags. So a hashtag, basically, it has the hash, or it looks like the number sign up in front of a word, and then after that, the rest of the word. And they're not predefined. Nobody has a master hashtag list that you can use or not use. People make them up all the time. I make them up as a joke half the time on social media, so it's probably the only thing that has that hashtag to it. But what we were able to do was go onto Twitter and look for watercolorists and then watercolorists and Florida, or Florida art, or Florida gallery. We were able to find those different types of people that shared his same interests. And then when they ask questions, he's able to join the conversation. You do the same type of thing, whatever it is that you do and what you work on. You might think, oh great, I'm going to be having conversations with the competition, or why would I want them to find out about me? But that's how it works. Gone are the days of two Italian restaurants opening up in the same town and them fighting with each other all the time. Like, you can't open up an Italian restaurant over here. We opened up our Italian restaurant across the street. That's against the law, or there ought to be a law. But now are the days where you just decide we're going to set up an Italian district in the small town. And when people want Italian food, that's where they come. So maybe they go to one side for cannoli and the other side for pesto. It's the same with working with other people that have similar businesses to you. You throw each other business different places, or you create a hashtag that many of you get on and you can collaborate with one another or share ideas. Or people that are trying to find you in social media, if they find them, they can find you. So you create a district in putting those types of things together. So second one, join conversations. The hard part is finding the conversations, but you can do that using hashtags, asking your friends, or doing searches on Twitter or on Facebook or on Instagram. Instagram, by the way, just implemented a way for you to follow a hashtag. So when you're in your feed scrolling through and you only want to see old cars because you refurbish old cars, or Chevy Novas because you really like Chevy Novas, then you can put it in there and follow that. That'll help you find these conversations. Number 3 of the top 5 ways to engage, and this one is really, really common, but there's a right way to do it, I think, and a wrong way to do it, and that is to share links. Now, you don't want to overdo it, because then you're just shoving your content down everybody's throat over and over again. Remember, you're an expert. You're not the expert. You're not the only expert. And when you share links, you're also showing some love for other people. And if somebody's looking at or watching the metrics or the visits to their website, they're able to see that it came from your account. It's an easy way to connect. It's an easy way for other people that are like you to discover you. And this becomes really valuable. Now, I said there's kind of a right way and what I think is a wrong way to share links online. And here's the right way. You should have an opinion about the link that you share. I think some people get in the habit of spinning up a bot or a program or something else online that will just automatically grab stuff and post it for you. Or they set up a way that they just have to click on a link and it will share that link automatically on their social profile. I don't want that. Again, we want conversations. We want to know that we're working with a human being. So if you are running a robot coffee place and you want to share a link about a guy that does robot tattoos, then you should have an opinion about the guy that does robot tattoos. These should be, check these out. These are really fantastic. I would really like this one, right? Or maybe you come up with another way to actually shout out the person's name and tag them in the social post. But don't just share a link. Make sure there's commentary or an opinion that goes with it. Okay, so number 4, related to what we were just talking about, this is the 4th way to engage with people on social media, and this is to support your friends. So like we were talking about previously with sharing other people's links to their website or sharing other people's websites, just doing a shout out to your friends or people that you want to be your friends. So when you see them do something cool on social media, this is the repost, this is the reply, this is the retweet, where you see something great and you share it with your audience. So you're propelling them forward. The good news is that they see it, and especially if they're like-minded or they're part of your industry, or you can tell that you're kind of, you're like brothers, you're like sisters, you like the same sort of stuff, then they know that it's not just you trying to get followers. They know that you're trying to make a connection with them. So supporting your friends or supporting the people that you want to be your friends by posting their content is a way to grow that tribe or that network. Like when you're looking for followers, not just followers for followers' sake, but legitimate followers and growing a community, that's a very easy way to engage with somebody new or to continue to engage with somebody else's audience. So they see that you exist, and then you get the chance to discover more of these people that exist that you can market to, talk to, have a conversation with. I can't believe I said market to right then, because I'm so tired of it. So you can have a conversation with is probably the better thing to say. All right, so number 5. This is the number 5 tip for engaging with people on social media. This is the sugar candy, the sugar rush of doing stuff in social media, is to give something away. So there's little tiny contests that you can do in social media all the time. I like the idea of giving something away, especially if you have a brick and mortar business. If the main call to action, the main thing that you want people to do is to actually show up at your coffee shop, then you can put together some sort of a contest, a call out, a coupon, a deal, something that gets them to come in and then follow you on Instagram, to follow you on Twitter, to follow you on Facebook. So Robot Coffee decides that they're going to give out Isaac Asimov stickers all day Sunday, or get them until they're gone. We only have 150 of them. So you post that to social media, and then people will come down. They'll take pictures of the stickers. You'll encourage them to take pictures of the stickers. And so giving something away that doesn't cost you a lot of money. You're out $30 and a little bit of time to put together a nerd sticker, but it gives people the opportunity to engage. It gives people the opportunity to follow you. People love stickers for some reason. And I don't know why that's the only thing I can think of to give something away, but it makes sense to me. I mean, you could give away free coffee, but I'll swing by for a sticker. Well, there you have it. 5 tips for engaging in social media. We covered at the very beginning. In general, what social media is, especially for people that don't like social media. If I had to give you a few tips, a few things I just really, really want you to remember. First, make sure you're a human being, that you're engaging with them as a human being. And then second, make sure that you're engaging. Come up with ways that you can actually have a dialogue back and forth with people in social media. That's what it's supposed to be. You can pull that off, riding pigs into the sunset, having really great word of mouth marketing. That's going to propel your business forward. And it'll do it in a way that doesn't overwhelm you or think that you're cheating people or think that you need to learn everything there is to know about spending money on Facebook. This is just the beginning. And once you figure that out, you can go bigger.
I personally love stickers, so I'm one of those sticker fans. Okay, so we'll go ahead and I thought we'd have time to do this quick social media post assignment. We've only got 30 minutes left and we've got another module to cover. So I figured we'd spend about 10 minutes in discussion and then we would move on. So if anyone has any questions for Amanda and Holly in regards to social media and best practices, please post them in the chat. Other than that, Amanda, Holly, what have you seen work in terms of social media, especially right now during the COVID times that we're going through?
So I've something I've struggled with, but I think makes a really big difference. And it just so everyone knows my background is that I have owned small businesses myself, is actually getting out and engaging with people. So getting on social media, and it's as much about posting your stuff as it is about scrolling around, clicking on other people's things, leaving comments, interacting. The kind of one of the points that he was trying to make in the presentation is that engagement is really what drives the value of doing it. And it's actually really true. And it doesn't even need to be complex interactions. It can be, hey, I love this. And then they click on your site because you commented on their thing, and it gets a lot of back and forth happening.
Yeah, I think I really like social media because as a business owner, I can attract followers by engaging with my partners, not just with my clients myself. So maybe I'm collaborating with other businesses during this time, which I see a lot of restaurants doing, a lot of retail stores doing. And just by nature of collaborating with them, I am opening myself up. I'm opening myself up to their clientele as well. And then it's kind of gaining this traction. One of the things, Holly, you had mentioned offline was that social media is like a pathway to e-commerce. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So e-commerce is mostly a tool at the end of that run. So you want to use social media to kind of drive people to where they're going to buy your product or how they're going to engage with you. So if you're going online and you're posting, let's talk about the sticker idea. If you're posting that you're giving away stickers, and the way that they get the stickers potentially in this environment could be that they order something from you and they come for free, or they win a sticker, and with that comes some other gift with purchase, but it drives them to your e-commerce site where they have to put in their information. And in the process of doing that, they're going to see what products or services you offer. You're going to use the social media engagement as a tool to get them into your e-commerce space where they can see what you offer them.
One of the things that I love about social media, and we had a comment in the chat that the presentation was great because he makes it seem like it's very easy, is how user-friendly social media can actually be. You know, we're already on there engaging with our friends anyways, and now we just have to pivot and think, how do we engage with customers that we want to buy from us, and how do we make that transition from either Facebook for personal to Facebook for business page or some of the other channels. One of the things that he didn't want to kind of touch on was that he can't tell you what social media channel is going to be right for you. It's really going to depend on the business that you have. Amanda, Holly, do you have any comments on social media channels that are most popular, or social media channels that may be better for one business over another?
So personally, I come from a food and beverage background, and I found that Instagram was a better resource for that because it's very visually driven. So everybody wants to see what's your new special you're offering, what's your new fantastic thing, and what does it look like, and does it make my mouth water? You know, do you offer a grilled cheese sandwich that stretches across the room and the cheese drips down and it makes you want to run out and buy it right now? So it totally depends on what your product is, and does it need a lot of engagement? Does it need a lot of visual? You know, things that you would have a harder time selling on Twitter might be better on Instagram or on Facebook, where you can have more of a visual thing. But there are other products that are going to be better placed on a verbal platform, because really what it needs is to be talked about and get chattered about.
Absolutely. When I think about business to business type businesses, so if I'm a business selling to another business, I actually think LinkedIn could be such a cool tool, especially if you're in a referral based business. You're making professional connections with folks who are on LinkedIn specifically for that purpose. And I think there's actually LinkedIn for business pages as well. But one of the points he was trying to make, and that was made in the last presentation, is that you are your business. And so the way that you interact with others, whether that be personally or professionally online, all of that is going to come back to how you sell yourself, how you sell your product, and how you sell your service. So when I think about some of the businesses that were posted in the chat earlier, IT Solutions could be a really great business to market on possibly Facebook or LinkedIn. When I think about the juice business that was posted earlier, I think about Instagram. And so one of the things that you guys might think about is it can be overwhelming to run multiple social media channels at one time. You might think about what's going to give me the most bang for my buck in terms of choosing a social media channel, and start there. And once you kind of master or feel like you have a handle on that one social media channel, then you may move on to another social media channel or test. You know, you end up testing a few different social channels out to see which one is going to get you the most return. One of the things that I really like about social media is that it is what I call freemium. So, you know, the basic features of social media channels are pretty much free, and you don't have to start paying until you decide you want more of a return on something or other. Amanda, maybe you can talk about how affordable, though, sometimes Facebook marketing can be. We've done Facebook marketing, and just to boost a post sometimes, you know, it's like $20, which in the grand scheme of things isn't that long or isn't that expensive. Mandy, can you talk about the paid features of social media and what those can get you?
Yeah, sure. Honestly, this is that's a heavy question. There's a lot that can be going into there. But with Facebook specifically, which I imagine majority of y'all will be using, the way that it works is that you are targeting people or you're competing with people that are also targeting the same audience that you are targeting, if that makes sense. So if I am targeting women ages 30 to 45, but my business is entirely different from Holly's, who is also targeting the same audience, we will be in competition. So that's just kind of something to think about with Facebook. It is a little bit on the cheaper side, which is great, but just also something to consider. I definitely recommend, if you have more questions about Facebook advertising, to schedule a business coaching session or reach out to one of us, because there are so many different resources about Facebook in particular that we could have our own 2-hour talk about Facebook and advertising there. So but yeah, that's just kind of the quick and dirty little tidbit about it, is that just remember that you're also going to be competing with everyone else that is marketing the same audience you're marketing.
Well, and I just want to follow up with what Amanda just said, is because each one of these particular functionalities has so much behind it, what Catherine started with you don't have to touch all of them. And as a business owner, I definitely got caught in that net where I thought I needed to be on every single channel, and that's just not necessary. So if you pick one that you really feel like will engage your audience, just get to know that one as best you can.
One of the best things that I like about social media is that it really helps you communicate a brand. I think about one of my favorite brands, which is Southwest Airlines, and their employees actually end up posting through the Southwest Airline channel to comment on or to reply to comments on some of their posts. And you can see someone's brand communicated so clearly when you're engaging so differently. And so it's not just about your logo anymore. It's about the voice. It's about your personality kind of shining through on some of those channels. And I love to see when brands are posting like that, because it lets me know a little bit more about the owners or the personality behind the brand than it does just the product or service itself. And I am more likely to buy, as I think more people are, when they feel emotionally connected or some kind of attachment to a brand. And I think social media can help build some of that up. What do you guys think?
Absolutely, because it allows lots of people to be able to see what's going on with your brand and create recognition.
Perfect. So any other questions? I'll again allow about 30 to 45 seconds if you guys want to post anything in the chat, or if you want to raise your hand and kind of chat with us for a sec. If not, we'll go ahead and move on to our last module, which is email marketing. Okay. All right, no other questions. We're going to go ahead and move on to our last module. If you'll click on email marketing, I'll go ahead and start our video for this one.
All right, everybody, this is Sean Funder again at GoDaddy. We've been talking about different ways to get your business online, or to get your idea online, or just get your idea into the world. And we've talked about building a website, naming your thing, your business, whatever it is, social media, SEO, content. We've been talking a lot about marketing, mostly marketing. There's been different aspects of it, and we haven't really used the word a lot because it scares people. It scares me, but we're going to continue doing that a little bit more. We're going to talk a little bit more about marketing in general, some other different avenues that you can use, and specifically email marketing. Now, before I do that, I want to talk about a book. It's a book I love. I recommend everybody read it that's trying to get their idea online. It's a book by Seth Godin. It's called Purple Cow. And in the book, it's basically tells the story about driving through south of France, but it could be Wyoming or Iowa or whatever. And the first time you see a cow, especially if you're from the big city or a small city, just a place where you don't see cows all the time, is you roll down your window and you moo at the cow, you point at the cow, you take pictures of the cow because you're excited, you're out of the city, you're out of the grind, and now you're in the country and there's a cow. And then you keep driving and you see another cow, and then you see another cow and another cow and another cow, and that's pretty much it. So at first it was, look, there's a cow, that's incredible, everybody, there's a cow, and then eventually you're cowed out, you're tired of cows. Now, in the book he says, what if you were to see a purple cow, like on the side of a road after seeing a whole bunch of other cows? Now, is the cow that different? No, it's a cow, it's just purple, that's it. It's still fundamentally the same thing, it just has something about it that's unique. Well, that's the basis of really great marketing, or being able to market your business or your idea, is that you come up with something that makes you unique, something that makes you different than everybody else. Oftentimes I'll talk to people about using existing story structures for delivering their marketing. And an existing story structure basically is that there's normal life, and then something happens, and then life is different. And most of us like the underdog story, which means we paint this picture of somebody that accomplishes things against the odds, and then they have some help, and then they're successful. And a lot of times as a business, you say, yeah, that's me. I'm the person that provides the help. I'm the fairy godmother. So I help this person become successful. And that's good, because when you're marketing, you want the hero of the story to be your customers, not you. So you constantly tell a story based on that. If you think about somebody like Nike, their slogan is just do it. Well, it's not just do it Nike. It's not, hey, Nike employees, just do it. The story in that particular case is just do it, you the customer. Like, we'll help you do it. We'll be the enabler. We'll be your Yoda. You can be our Luke Skywalker. That's important when putting together your marketing. But I had this one idea, instead of using the underdog story, why don't you use the escape story? And the escape story is literally, if I don't accomplish this thing, I will die. Well, what if you were a hotel? And you're a hotel in the middle of the mountains, and basically you market yourself as a hotel for people that work too hard. They live in Silicon Valley or New York, and they put in 80-hour weeks trying to be successful, and they're always glued to their phones. And then you say, you need to come stay with us or else you will die. Well, that's interesting. That's a purple cow. Most hotels and most resorts are talking about how you can come and relax and be away and take your cares away. But the truth is, you still have your phones and your computers. What if I went to this place and they made me check them in, like I was checking into a Wild West town? You got to check your guns in before you enter the town. You check in your electronic devices because you came here, or else you will die. That's a purple cow. So what is it for you? Before you start really marketing, before you start putting money behind it, before you start getting a billboard and deciding that you want to spend money in real life or IRL, then what is the thing that people are going to turn their heads to look at? If you're a car mechanic, what's your thing? Are most of the mechanics in your place women? That would be interesting. That would be a purple cow. That would be unexpected. That's something that will differentiate not only your business, but then your marketing plan that goes with it. So what are the other ways to market your business online? Well, the first ways to do it are actually offline to market your business online. So you make sure that you have a domain name that's short, that's memorable, so that you can put it on bumper stickers, you can put it on your business card, you can put it on your stationery, on your shirts. You can make cool shirts with your domain name or your business or your website on it. This is something we call IRL to URL. So in real life to unified resource locator, basically in real life to the internet. That's how you want to get people onto your site. And that's really, really effective, surprisingly effective. You can take out an ad in a newspaper. You can put something in Coffee Times, these little flyers that go around in small towns that have your website or your business listed on it. You're just giving people another resource or another place to find you, and you can track that with a unique URL, a unique domain name, or something that you can then later look and see, oh, all of this stuff that came to my website came from my bumper sticker, or all this stuff that came to my website came from my billboard. That's your first best bet. You're able to network, you're able to talk to people and then point them to your website. That's a very real way that you can understand whether or not people like what you're doing. It's a first form of marketing. Now, outside of social media and your website and SEO, what are your other options on the internet? Well, one of the most popular ones still, and one of the most effective ones still, is email marketing. There's lots of different email marketing platforms that are out there. At GoDaddy, we have our own. It's called GoDaddy Email Marketing, pretty easy to remember. And with these programs, you're able to take a list of subscribers, somebody that has given you their email address to say, yes, Sean, I like what you're doing. I like Robot Coffee. Can you please tell me more? And now you have the opportunity of creating content, a newsletter, a post. It's not really a blog post because it's not on a blog, but it's the same type of content that you can put in an email that goes out to these people that subscribe to you. Now, why would you want to do that? Isn't email dead? Who's going to keep using email? Well, everybody uses email, and we're going to continue to use email. I know bloggers that have stopped blogging and just converted over to a newsletter that they send to their subscribers. And why do they do it? It's because they're real subscribers. They know who they are. They have names attached to the people that they're talking to, that they're working with. It's a perfect indicator as to how large their community is. When you look at web analytics for a website, you get a general idea, but you don't know exactly who it is. You don't know where they're from. You haven't surveyed them. You haven't been able to engage in them in as real a way as you do with email. Oftentimes, people will reply to the emails that you send out to them. So what do you do to get started with email marketing? Well, a couple of things to keep in mind that are related to generating any type of content. The first thing is you want to make sure that you have really solid content. You want to make sure that your headlines, which would be your subject line, it's descriptive. People know what they're getting into. You don't need to be cagey or funny or basically tease a haiku every single time you send these out, but you want to say as much as possible in the subject line so they know what they're going to be reading. They know what they're going to get out of it. If it's a weekly or a bi-weekly, stick with the name. Make sure they know exactly what it is before they open it up. And then when they open it up, these are the rules of kind of writing online. You write with what we call the inverse pyramid, which is you get to the point first, and then you describe the point after. Now, this is very different than a lot of us learned how to write growing up in high school or in college, where you would have a thesis in general, but you wouldn't get to the point until you got to the conclusion. You would slowly build your argument like you were telling a joke and waiting to get to the punchline. But when you craft an email that's going to be effective for the people that engage with you, whether it's informative or funny, or you're actually trying to get them to come to your website to look at something particular, you want to make sure that you do the inverse pyramid, get to the point, and then have the fun happen later. If you want to, you can put an Easter egg down in the bottom just to see who reads all the way through it. Oh, great. We're talking about content again. We just keep talking about this and coming back to it over and over and over. If you would have known, you would have been an English major, maybe, or an art major or something, 'cause if you knew what you had to do later on in life. Well, the good news is that it does not need to be complicated. You see emails that are really complicated, the marketing emails with all the pictures and everything on them. Again, start small. My favorite emails that I get that are actual email marketing, or I've subscribed to something online, look like normal emails. They rely on their tone and voice and the content of it. They're not too long. They basically are sharing something that they would share on social media, just a little bit longer. And that's really, really effective. Now, how do you know whether or not it's working? There's lots of ways to figure this out. The primary ways inside your email marketing software, so something like GoDaddy Email Marketing, is that you can see how many times they opened the email. We call this the open rate. And you can also see whether or not they engaged with the content in the email. What did they click on? Where did they click? If you have multiple links in there, what were they interested in the most? And those are the two primary ways of you to figure out whether or not this worked. Now, with that type of software, you can also schedule something called a drip campaign. This is really, really powerful, in that you can send one email out to your customers after they buy something from you and they've subscribed to your newsletter. And once they get that and they open it, 3 weeks later, it automatically sends them a follow-up one or a new one or something that you know works with those types of customers, or the people that open it immediately or don't open it immediately. Some of the email marketing software platforms allow you to send an updated email if they didn't open up the previous one with a different subject line, just to test it and see whether or not that one works. These are all really, really robust. You don't have to go crazy and get really complicated and create a whole sequence of events all the time. I just want you to know that it exists and that it's a way that you can market to these customers to be smarter about it. Now, how do you find subscribers? How do you find people that are interested in what you do? Well, you find them the same way you connected with them on social media. You find them the same way that you connected with them at a conference or talking to different people. They sign up because they're interested in you. You can put it on your website, one of those boxes that pops up. It looks like you come back here a lot. Would you like to subscribe to our email newsletter? Would you like to subscribe for more information about Robot Coffee? And that's the easiest way to build that and get started with email marketing. Again, start simple. You're not boiling the ocean. You're not trying to come up with a really, really complicated marketing campaign. You're just trying to communicate with those few subscribers that you got in the first couple of weeks of going live. All right, so there's a lot of other things that you can do when it comes to marketing and come up with other ways to get your name out there. You could have custom Rubik's Cubes. You could make weird socks and pass them out on street corners. There's ways of you just trying to think of how to be that purple cow. But email marketing is a sort of fast win in figuring out ways to connect with your customers. and is one of the ways that you can keep the conversation going back and forth without it having to be public on social media or other places. It's just between you and them. And a lot of people really like that, including me. And there's a lot of people that theorize that that's where we're headed anyways, is more personal conversations with something like email and email marketing. All right, so keep the brain going, keep thinking about the ways that you're going to be that purple cow, keep thinking about ways that you're going to market your business online. And again, start small, then go bigger. So until next time, I'll see you later.
Perfect. Well, that about rounds out our day for today. So we're going to go ahead and we'll talk a little bit about email marketing in our discussion. But what I really want you guys to make sure happens is that at the bottom here, you can see, let me see if I can move this. Okay, at the bottom here, you can kind of see the feedback survey. If you click on that link and then you click on feedback survey, the feedback survey will just open up. And then you'll just take this quick 10-question feedback survey. At the end of this feedback survey, you're going to click done, right? And you think you're done. But I also click complete and continue, because for some reason you have to click both to submit the survey. So you'll fill out this feedback survey for us, you'll click done, and then you'll come down here and click the green complete and continue button, and that rounds out your module. Now that doesn't mean that you don't have access to this course, right? You can get back into this course at any time through your login. You'll just go back, log back in through that, through the website, just like we showed you at the beginning. You'll be able to review some of this content on your own. There were definitely activities that we didn't get to, some assignments, some things that may help you, work on the strategy, practice some of your strategy a little bit better before you actually execute. The other thing that we're available for, again, is if you want to schedule an appointment with us, with Holly, Amanda, or I, or someone on our team in order to gain some assistance in creating a marketing strategy for yourself or your business, we're definitely here and want to help. So feel free to reach back out to us, either through the chat, through our online form, through an email address you may have for us, and we will go ahead and make sure that we schedule some time with you to help with your marketing strategy. So just one last, again, in order to get the code to get a free GoDaddy website for 2 years, you'll need to complete this intake questionnaire if you didn't already, and you'll need to complete this feedback survey. You complete it now, it'll just be easy. It'll be off your plates. It'll be done. If you complete it later, remember you have until 5 p.m. to complete it if you're calling in by phone. So if you guys will just go ahead and do that for us, it'd be super awesome. And then we can make sure we get you your code. Other than that, if you have questions, please feel free to post them in the chat. I feel like email marketing is my favorite form of marketing, only because I was super analog for a long time. And so just to realize how much data that you can get by emailing folks and understanding, I can see what links they've engaged with. I can see what times it's best to engage with them. I'm all about utilizing data to make better decisions. And so because email marketing provides a lot of that data for us, I really like that. Doesn't mean you can't get that data through social media or through your website. There are analytic tools that you can set up to make sure that your website and social channels are optimized kind of as much as possible. But all of these should be definitely utilized and utilized a little bit more and more strategically now that we are in this COVID era. And who knows when COVID's going to end, because it looks like we just keep 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of thing here. Amanda, Holly, any last comments to kind of round us out?
I would tell everyone, reach out and get help when you can, because social media seems super simple and it can be really fun, but there's a lot of ins and outs to it. And sometimes it just takes talking to people and engaging with people that are also going through the same experiences to learn some of the tricks of the trade.
Amanda, final thoughts?
I will also say that email marketing is a little tricky in terms of setting it up and just kind of figuring out how everything works. So just kind of be prepared for that. I think a lot of people are like, this is going to be the easiest thing on the planet, and it isn't that easy. So just make sure that if you need help, you're asking for it. Like Holly said in the chat, we do have free business coaching, and we can talk about that with you. There are tons of different email marketing options out there. So just kind of keep that in mind as you are thinking about it.
All right, well then to round us out, again, I have recorded our video today, so I will be sending out, or one of us will be sending out a recording of the video. You, again, still have access to this course as long as you log back in through the site, as long as you've enrolled, as long as you fill out the intake questionnaire and then this feedback survey. Remember, the pre-survey and the post-survey, we will be able to send you your GoDaddy code to be able to get a website. So please, please, please help us out and fill out those surveys, and then we'll help you out by providing that code. If anyone has any questions, I'll hang out here for about another 5 minutes just to monitor the chat, and then I'll go ahead and close it down. But other than that, you guys have a good rest of your day, and thanks for joining us for this marketing webinar over your lunchtime.